In the past few weeks, I've been testing the new Huawei Watch GT5 Pro, and in this video I'll share all my personal experiences with the watch as well as all of its pros and cons. At the same time, I've also tested the GT5, which is the non-pro version of this watch, as well as the Huawei Watch D2, which can measure blood pressure thanks to an airbag strip located behind the watch strap. In the past, I've also tested the Huawei Watch Fit 3 among many other Huawei watches. In this video I want to show you what makes the Watch GT5 Pro stand out, how it compares to other smartwatches, and for whom this watch might be the right choice. So let's dive right in and have fun. The Huawei Watch GT5 Pro comes in two different case sizes with diameters of 42 and 46mm. I personally have the larger 46mm version, which I think is not too big either. The Apple Watch Ultra 2 is about the same in height and width, but the GT5 Pro is significantly thinner. Garmin watches like the Fenix 8 or Endura 3 are much bigger, for example. The Huawei Watch GT5 Pro looks great on my wrist. I think it's very comfortable to wear, even though the watch without the strap weighs 53 grams, which definitely isn't the lightest. Even the 42mm version weighs 44 grams, making it noticeably heavier than, for example, the Google Pixel Watch 3, the Apple Watch Series 10 or the Galaxy Watch 7. However, it's also very robust. The Pro in the name is earned partly because the case in the 42mm version is made of ceramic, while the 46mm version is made of titanium. The regular GT5 uses stainless steel. The ceramic and titanium cases not only make the GT5 Pro high quality and durable, but they also make it suitable for dives up to 40 meters, which you might not expect at first glance. You can also choose from various colors and straps. I personally went for the perhaps somewhat boring black option with a fluoro elastomer strap. I hope I pronounced this correctly. For the larger 46mm model there is also a titanium strap, and for the smaller one there is a ceramic strap, and the strap can also be easily swapped out if desired. It's kind of semi-rigid and attached to the case, unlike the non-pro version where the strap is completely flexible. Overall, I like the strap. The watch sits comfortably on the wrist and it is suitable for activities where you are sweating or swimming. In terms of design, Huawei didn't go for a round or square design, but rather a sort of in between. The watch is basically octagonal, which is currently a bit of a trend. The bezel has markers, and on the right side of the case there are two buttons, with the upper one also serving as a rotating crown. Despite the octagonal case, the display is round, and as with most smartwatches, it's an AMOLED display. On the larger 46mm version, it's 1.43 inches big with a resolution of 466x466 pixels. This is definitely superior to classic sports watches. For instance, the significantly larger 51mm Garmin Fenix 8 AMOLED has a 1.4 inch display and a resolution of 454x454 pixels. Overall, I've always liked the designs of Huawei watches, and the GT5 Pro is very stylish as well, in my opinion. But of course, that's something you have to decide for yourself. One of the Huawei Watch GT5 Pro's main strengths is its battery life. While many smartwatches run out of power after 1, 2 or at most 3 days, the GT5 Pro can actually last up to 14 days. Huawei provides various estimates depending on the usage scenario. The 46mm version is said to last up to 14 days in optimal conditions, up to 9 days with regular use, or up to 5 days with the always-on display activated. For the 42mm model, those numbers are 7, 5 and 3 days respectively. Huawei also gives detailed conditions for these numbers. For example, the 14-day battery life can be achieved under factory settings with 30 minutes of calls per week, 90 minutes of exercise per week, and turning on the display 200 times a day. Heart rate monitoring is activated 24/7 in this scenario, and sleep tracking is also active. In my case, I record much more exercise per week than the 90 minutes mentioned. Actually, for me, it's more like 90 minutes per day. So for me, the watch doesn't last the 9 days Huawei claims for regular use. I don't use the always on mode, but my usage is more like a very regular or extremely regular, and the watch still lasts around 6 to 7 days for me, which I find impressive. This is certainly much better than for most other smartwatches. During a training session with multiband usage, the watch loses about 6% of battery per hour for me, which would allow it to last a good 16 hours. This is also about twice as much as I achieve with my Apple Watch Series 10. With such great battery life numbers, you might wonder why Apple, Samsung or Google Google can't achieve the same with their smartwatches, and here, to be fair, we have to mention that the Huawei GT5 Pro definitely lags behind in terms of the smart features compared to all of these other smartwatches. For example, it doesn't have LTE functionality, meaning no standalone cellular connection. Currently there is no contactless payment option, but that's supposed to be added in the future. The app selection in the store is somewhat limited, there is no voice assistant unless paired with a Huawei smartphone, and WhatsApp messages can't display images on the screen. These are all things that I, as an athlete, can definitely live without, especially in exchange with the significantly better battery life. But I wanted to mention them briefly because I think that the comparison between Huawei watches and Wear OS watches or the Apple watches isn't 100% fair all the time. Now let's talk about the fitness and health features for everyday use. If we swipe right from the home screen, we first see the classic fitness data for the day, namely the calories burned, activity time and standing time. These are shown in the classic ring view, where you can see how far you've progressed in achieving your daily goals. And of course, you can set these goals individually. If we swipe further, we can also view this data in a weekly overview, and further down we find more detailed stats like steps taken, distance, specific activities and timelines for each statistic. The next widget is essentially a collection of different health-related widgets. Here we have various tiles. At the top we see the heart rate trend for the day, and there is a dedicated heart rate widget where you can check more detailed information. There is also a widget for stress level monitoring, which is mainly based on heart rate variability, one for SpO2 or blood oxygen saturation, another for skin temperature including cycle tracking for women, and one for sleep analysis. Here the sleep score is displayed on a scale from 0 to 100 with an additional star rating showing sleep duration, and further down the breakdown of different sleep stages along with breathing rate, heart rate and blood oxygen levels throughout the night. Personally, I wouldn't fully rely on the sleep analysis of any watch. It's more like 80 to 85% accurate in most cases, but I found that the GT5 Pro reflected my own feelings in the morning quite well, and the sleep times were definitely very accurate. Next we have the health clovers. In the app you can set specific goals such as weight loss, stress reduction, strengthening the immune system or improving sleep quality. You can set individual targets and the watch will track your progress toward these goals. Overall, the app is very well designed. It's very user-friendly, and here we can see everything we've already seen on the watch, plus a few additional graphs and details. On the watch you can also do guided breathing exercises, and in the app there are numerous workouts and relaxation exercises that you can use for free. For example, there is a yoga masterclass, relaxation exercises before bed, and an abs workout. Particularly in the training section there are some interesting options. You can create training plans for different sports, like preparing for a 10k or marathon for running, and for cycling there are at least a few workout options as well. But anyway, back to the watch. As mentioned before, you can access all the widgets with a click on the upper button. Here, aside from the already mentioned options, there is another interesting widget called Stay Fit. Here you can set nutritional goals, see how many calories you burn per day, both passively and actively, how many calories you should consume, and through the app you can also track your meals and balance them against your goals. Another very noteworthy feature is the ECG. This was still missing in the Huawei Watch Fit 3, for example, and it's one of the differences compared to the non-Pro version of the GT5. Additionally, many traditional sports watches lack the ECG feature as well. Especially in Europe, many companies don't have a license to use ECG. For example, I live in Germany, and for the Garmin Fenix 8, which is one of the most advanced sports watches out there, I can't use the ECG feature. But the Huawei Watch GT5 Pro has the ECG feature on board, so you can do an electrocardiogram directly on the wrist. With the ECG, the watch can also measure arterial stiffness. This in turn provides insights into the elasticity and health of the arteries. With such features you should never rely blindly on the watch, so if in doubt, always consult your doctor. However, it's remarkable how many health features the GT5 Pro offers. One thing that's missing is blood pressure. By the way, I'm currently also testing the Huawei Watch D2, which has an inflatable airbag strip built into the strap to measure blood pressure. I'll be making a separate video on this watch in the next few days, so make sure to subscribe to this channel to not miss this video as well as many others. Next, let's move on to the sports and training features. If we swipe right from the widgets we just talked about, we first see the training overview again, where we can see steps taken, calories burned and activity time, as well as the 4 most common training profiles: running, cycling, swimming and walking. Of course, there is also a dedicated training mode. You can access it either by going to all apps and selecting the training symbol, or by default the lower button provides direct access to the training mode, though you can customize this function as well. In the training mode, there are 22 different pre-installed training profiles, including the classics just mentioned, but also options like an open water swimming mode, skiing, elliptical trainer, rowing machine or free training. Triathletes will also be happy to know there is a specific triathlon mode. Since the watch is suitable for dives up to 40 meters, there is even a diving profile. Another difference from the regular GT5 is that there is also a golf profile, including golf course maps. What's displayed in each profile can be customized. You can choose up to 6 data fields, such as duration, distance, pace, steps and heart rate. You can also view cadence, as well as aerobic and anaerobic training load, and there are statistics for running form, such as balance, vertical oscillation and ground contact time. However, one thing that's missing is the measurement of running power in watts. A nice feature is the intelligent companion, where you can set a target pace and the watch will show you how far above or below your target you are. During your workout, it will tell you whether you are ahead or behind. You can also set goals like burning a certain number of calories and set reminders such as a heart rate zone to maintain during your workout. In this case, the watch will notify you if you go above or below that zone. There is an auto pause feature. You can create interval workouts on the watch, and via the app you can upload specific fitness or running courses and training plans to the watch. During a workout you can also use audio guidance. There is a dedicated always on mode just for training, and it includes automatic workout detection, though it currently only recognizes running, walking, elliptical trainer and rowing workouts, so cycling unfortunately isn't recognized. After a workout you can view the most important data and stats, including graphs and bars, and the app offers an even better overview. Beyond the training mode, there are also some training analysis tools. First, there is the running ability index, where you can see your running performance compared to other runners. You'll also see your training load, a training index, your overall fitness level and your fatigue. You can also see your recovery, similar to Garmin's body battery, and the watch will tell you how long you should rest before your next intense training session, and it gives you suggestions on what you can do now. Finally, your VO2 max, so your maximum oxygen capacity, is also displayed, along with predictions for various running distances. All these advanced training analysis tools are remarkable, especially given the price and the fact that the watch is primarily a smartwatch or fitness tracker and not a sports watch. For example, the recovery data aligned well with my personal experience and was usually also consistent with the data from my Garmin watch. With the Huawei Watch GT5 Pro you can also use navigation features. Since the watch doesn't run on Wear OS, you can't use Google Maps, but you have access to Huawei's own service called Petal Maps. You can load maps onto the watch via the Huawei Health app and use them offline. The Pro version also offers elevation contours for these maps, which are particularly useful for hiking or any mountain-related activities. You can also load routes onto the watch and navigate using them during your workouts. The watch displays topographic maps with street names, points of interest and more. It even offers a backtrack feature. However, unlike Garmin's outdoor sports watches, this one doesn't offer routing functionality, so you can't create new routes directly on the watch. Another important point is that the GPS is accurate. Here you should know that the Watch GT5 Pro has the so-called dual band frequency GPS. Specifically, you have access to the L1 and L5 bands, and yeah, multiband in general is considered to be the most accurate GPS tracking technology right now for smartwatches and sports watches. On this bike ride through urban, forest and residential areas, the watch records my route very well. It doesn't cut any corners and everything looks really clean. As an extreme test, I went into the forest as always and completed the same route back and forth on a narrow forest path. As we can see here, the Huawei Watch GT5 Pro recorded this very well. There are minor inaccuracies in this area, but they are still acceptable for me, and the watch was very accurate in this section. Overall, based on my experience, the watch isn't as precise as, for example, a Garmin Fenix 8, but it definitely meets its expectations. In addition to the GPS accuracy, I also wanted to check how accurate the heart rate measurement of the watch is. Here, as always, I recorded all of my training sessions, both with the watch and with the chest strap, and then compared both datasets afterwards. Unfortunately, Huawei does not provide an option to export the data, so I can only show you the results side by side. When running, we see that the two curves from the watch and the chest strap follow almost identical patterns. The average and maximum heart rates also match well, and I already noticed during the run that the watch accurately recorded my heart rate, which, however, was to be expected. Something that I didn't expect, however, was how accurate the watch was during strength training. Although there were some greater deviations in the curves as well as the average and maximum heart rates compared to running, it still looks very good and definitely more accurate than most other watches. Here you can see a second session where it looks even better. The curve is extremely similar, with the average heart rate deviating by only 1 beat and the maximum heart rate by 2 beats from the chest strap. There is a significantly higher deviation with almost all other watches. Based on these results, I would even say that the Huawei Watch GT5 Pro records my heart rate at the level of the Apple Watch, which has always been the most accurate watch in all of my tests over the years. So I'm more than satisfied with the heart rate accuracy of the Watch GT5 Pro. Alright, so what can we conclude about the new Huawei Watch GT5 Pro? It's very robust and high quality thanks to the ceramic or titanium case depending on the size, and it's even certified for diving. The watch has a beautiful design and display, a wealth of sports, fitness and health features, and it is very accurate both in terms of GPS and heart rate monitoring. Plus, it offers an impressive battery life that surpasses most other smartwatches by far. However, it does lag behind those other smartwatches in terms of smart features. Additionally, it's worth mentioning that you don't necessarily need the Pro version of the watch, as the standard GT5 also offers most of the benefits I've mentioned in this video, and for example, it also provides the same battery life numbers. It's made of stainless steel instead of titanium or ceramic, it isn't suitable for diving, it doesn't have golf course maps, and lacks ECG, but there aren't many other differences. For further information, I've linked both watches in the video description below. But now feel free to leave a comment down below what you think of the new Huawei Watch GT5 Pro. If you found this video helpful or interesting, you could really support me and my work here by giving this video a quick thumbs up, and if you don't want to miss any more videos in the future, you should definitely consider subscribing to this channel. But for now, thanks a lot for watching and see you next time.